Good morning to all the students. Harini, I think you have been removed from the meeting. Can anybody tell Harini to join again? She has been removed from the meeting due to some technical issues. Yeah. Can you see the presentation? Students, can anybody confirm you can see the presentation?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's move forward with our lecture 4. And in the last few classes, we have thrown light on topics like how to understand a well-posed learning problem and how to design a learning system also. Now, in order to design a learning system with relevance to a particular task, like playing a chess or playing checkers game or predicting or forecasting the weather or predicting whether a customer is reliable or not. Sir, class is or predicting whether a customer is reliable or not. For such kind of concepts, in order to make a machine learn, what type of training experience you need to provide to the machine in order to make future predictions in a proper way, in an ideal way, means in a less error prone way, means the error should be less in its predictions. Okay, and in that case, how to choose the training experience and how to choose the target function, because the machine can't understand the instructions, or the machine can't understand the task it has to perform in a normal language. We try to mathematically represent it, we try to generalize it, so that that particular equation will be applicable for all the future data points also, which it has learned from the historic data, right? So how to choose the target function, and choosing a representation also for the target function, and choosing a function approximation algorithm, which will help us to reduce the prediction error that is given by the target function in order to make it an ideal target function. Okay, in that process, how to estimate the training values and how to adjust the weights in order to make the target function ideal enough to generalize, so that it can predict well for the future data points, right? How to adjust the weights, all that we have seen. And finally, we saw how a final design can have general concepts like a performance system, critic, experiment generator, and generalizer, how all these components work together to make a machine learn about some concept, right? So these are the topics we have covered so far, and in today's class we are going to understand what are the perspectives and issues in machine learning, and also let me give a brief introduction to concept learning and also an example of concept learning task, right? Now, let us see what are various perspectives about a machine learning task, how machine learning task is being understood, how a beginner should understand about a machine learning task, how experts should have various perspectives of making a machine learn about some problem, to about solving some problem. Okay, that we are going to see. Now, machine learning is that it involves searching a very large space of possible hypotheses to determine one that best fits the observed data and any prior knowledge held by the learner. Understand all this carefully, because you should be very clear about what is hypothesis, what is training example, what is target function. All these are preliminary knowledge which you have to be very clear about, so that you can understand the later topics, right? So what let us go through this first point. Machine learning is that it involves searching a very large space. What is this very large space? I think by this time you should have understood what is this search space or learning from a large space of possible hypothesis. Now again, let us go back to our chess playing game. We have created a target function we had of B means a move from a legal board state B as how the target function is formulated w naught plus w1 x1 plus w2 x2 and so on up to w6 x6, right? This is our target function. Now the hypothesis space H contains lots of these equations, same equation but with different weights. Got it what I'm telling? The hypothesis space means the set of your target functions will have lots different weights for this particular equation. Okay, that is say H1 is one hypothesis having weights as 2, 3, 4, and you have another hypothesis H2 having weights as 4, 6, 9, like that. You will have lots of such hypotheses. Now, what is your goal? Your goal is to select one hypothesis which best explains the historic data's behavior. I think I'm very clear, right? You're trying to find a hypothesis, small h, from the hypothesis space, capital H, which best suits, which best explains the historic data's behavior and could also predict the future data points. Okay, so this weight, when not adjusted in the preliminary case, it is hypothesis H1. Now later, it adjusted its weights in order to predict more better, that is H2. Now it again adjusted its weights in order to predict more better, that is H3. Each time the weights are getting adjusted, each time the weights are getting changed in order to make better and better predictions. Got it? Means it is trying to reduce the prediction error iteratively. Game after game, game after game. It is trying to learn more better and trying to adjust the weights in a proper way so that the prediction accuracy is increasing. The prediction error is reducing. Got it? Means each time you come up with a hypothesis. But what is your best hypothesis? Where your weights can no longer be adjusted. The machine can no longer adjust the weights in the target function. And that will give you the best performance. That equation is the best representation of the historic data from which it has learned. And that equation is the best fit which can even generalize well for the future examples also. So now it encounters a board state. Now taking into consideration other board states x1, x2, x3 and up to x6, what next step it can take? Immediately it should be able to predict with less error, with high accuracy. Got it? That is the best hypothesis you arrive at. And that is your final hypothesis. Got it? Means you have lots of options of equations with different weights, but you are trying to find out the best hypothesis, which will make less prediction error and which will have good prediction accuracy. Okay, that is why I'm saying from the hypothesis space H, you have lots of hypotheses, but you're selecting the best one that better explains the behavior of your historic data and also can be used to predict the new data points. Right? Now I'm studying the financial behavior of all my old customers and I'm trying to formulate some equations about their historic behavior, which I learned from the data, historic data. Now I have several such hypotheses, but which is the best hypothesis, which is the best equation that will help me to learn more, that will help me to generalize more better for the future point. Say I get a new customer data. Now, based on the parameters and based on the weights assigned to those parameters, according to my best hypothesis, I should be able to predict with good accuracy whether he is a reliable customer or not, whether he is a defaulter of the loan or whether he'll pay the loan properly. I wanted to predict that. Got it? So I have lots of equations that I learned from the historic data, but which equation is best predicting about that customer, about the behavior of that customer? That I want, right? That is my best fit hypothesis. And that comes from this hypothesis space. Got it? Now, the LMS algorithm for fitting weights achieves this goal. And now let us take the example of LMS algorithm. You know what is LMS algorithm, right? Least mean squares algorithm, where we are trying to minimize the error of prediction. Okay, so the LMS algorithm for fitting weights achieves this goal by iteratively tuning the weights. This is what I am repeating again and again. It is iteratively tuning the weights. Initially, it comes with an equation. That equation is not the final one. It iteratively adjusts the weights. It again adjusts the weights again and again, iteratively, by learning more and more better from the training examples. And finally arrives at a final equation that is the best fit for your data. That best explains the behavior of the data. Right? That is arrived at, that is reached only by tuning the weights. Okay, each time the weights have to be adjusted. Adding a correction to each weight, each time the hypothesized evaluation function predicts a value that differs from the training value. Got? What I'm trying to tell you is, see, there is training set with parameters x1, x2, which will determine your outcome y. Say x1 is student is good at his academics. X2, the performance of student at academics is x1. Performance of students at extracurricular activities is x2. Now I want to say whether that student is a top rank. I want to predict whether that student will achieve a top rank or not. Okay, this is my problem now. Now I'm having many such examples. Say some 100 students data I have. Now among this 100 students data, I'm trying to train the machine with 70 students data while hiding the 30 students data. Let me tell you why I'm hiding that. 70 students data is given to the machine to learn. For this and this combination of x1 and x2, the student is predicted to be a top ranker. For this and this combination of x1 and x2, the student is predicted to be a low rank student, right? This is how you're trying to make a machine learn. Now, how you're finding its performance, how you're estimating its performance. Now the machine has learned some target function from these 70 students data. Now you're giving it this 30 students data, but you're giving only x1 and x2 values and you're hiding this y value. And you're asking the machine to predict that y. You already know y of these 30 students data also, but you're not showing the machine that 30 students data. You're keeping it secret from the machine. Now you're giving it combinations of x1 and x2 and you're asking it to predict y. Now it will make some predictions, right? And what is the training examples predictions you have? Y. Now the difference between what machine predicted and what exactly you have in the training example, that difference is called as the prediction error. Now that prediction error have to be reduced. Did you get what I'm trying to tell? 70 students data is used to learn some target function by the machine. Now, after learning a target function, you are supplying that machine this 30 remaining students data. But when you're passing the 30 students data, you want to test the machine whether it has learned properly or not. So what you're doing, you're giving x1 and x2 data. That is the attributes data. But you're hiding the prediction. Why? Means the outcome of that student, whether he's a top ranker or not. Now, the machine will make some predictions. Let it be PRE. Now, the training examples have already some label. Why? Now, what machine predicted and what exactly is that value, the difference between them is called as the prediction error. You are trying to reduce that error as much as possible by tuning the weights here. You're tuning the weights, and in the next case, you're adjusting the weights and arriving at a more better target function. Now this will predict even more better. Now you're seeing the prediction error and you're adjusting the weights again, and you're again making it to predict some other example. Okay, it has made lesser prediction error this time. Means your thought of adjusting the weights is correct. Okay, now after some time, no longer the prediction accuracy can be increased. It will stagnate. It will come to a stable position. It will converge. It will not change any longer. Prediction error can't be reduced any longer. In that case, it is called as the point of convergence. And that is your ideal target function. No more tuning of weights is required at that point. Got it? That is called as your final hypothesis. Now, most algorithms generally search a hypothesis space defined by some underlying representation. Underlying representations can be different. In checkers playing game or in chess playing game, we have taken it as a linear function. See, W0, W1, X1, W2, X2, and so on up to W6, X6 is a linear function. There are no polynomial or exponential terms, right? That is a simple linear function. In some cases, you may have logical descriptions. In some cases, instead of linear function, you may use decision trees. If the age of a customer is less than 40, then if he is owning a house, he may not default the loan. If he is not owning a house, he may default the loan. Like if he is above 40 years and he is married, his behavior may be different. Not married, his behavior may be different, right? This is called as decision tree. The tree is made to take some decisions based on its root nodes. What condition you give at this root node, what condition you give at this root node. Based on that, the decision by the tree will be taken to arrive at a final conclusion about a customer in this case. What you understood from this? Underlying structure or underlying representation, if it is differing, may it be a linear equation or let it be a decision tree or an artificial neural network. Based on that, this search space will be defined. This hypothesis space will be defined. In this case, in our checkers playing game case, how is our hypothesis space defined? As a set of linear equations. From that, you are selecting the best equation. Now, if you take the underlying structure as a decision tree, what do you have in the hypothesis space? Different combinations of decision trees. And you will select the best decision tree as your hypothesis, which will better categorize the data points, which will better classify the data points, and which could better classify the future data points. That is your best hypothesis. Got it? That is based on the underlying structure or underlying representation, the hypothesis space can be defined, whether it is a set of linear equations or whether it is a set of decision trees or whether it is a set of neural networks. It depends, right? So this viewpoint is useful in formally analyzing the relationship between the size of the hypothesis space to be searched. Understand this carefully. Now, this perspective, what we have drawn from our previous knowledge, what did we understand from this? This will help us to relate certain points. What are those? This viewpoint is useful in formally analyzing the relationship between the size of the hypothesis space to be searched, lots of hypotheses. If you are having more and more training examples, you will have more and more hypotheses, and each time you refine them to arrive at a final best fit hypothesis. Correct? So the size, it depends on the size of the hypothesis space to be searched and the number of training examples available. If you have more training examples, then your machine learning model will be more generalizable. Now, I make a study about 10 students. I can generalize up to some extent, but if other 10 students come with a totally different behavior, what opinion I have drawn from those 10 students, can I apply that opinion to other set of 10 students? No, because their behavior is entirely different. And machine means I didn't study about those other 10 set of students. Means my learning is biased because the training examples are very less. I have less number of training examples to learn from. Now, I'm making a study of 1,000 students across India. Now, I'm making a study about 1 million students across India. Means I would have probably covered most of their characteristics, most of their behaviors. In that case, I can generalize properly. Now, if another student comes as a new data point to me, I can generalize his behavior better because I have learned about 1 million students. So what is my learning capacity here? In the previous case, I have learned only about 10 students and I'm trying to generalize. My generalization will be almost wrong. My prediction will be almost wrong because these 10 students' behavior can't be a better representation about the student population in India. But when I study about 1 million students, on the other hand, then those 1 million students is a good representation of the India student population. So I can make a better generalization. I can make better prediction about the students now. That is how the amount of training examples matter. The number of training examples matter here. Okay, the number of training examples available and the confidence we can have that a hypothesis is consistent with the training data will correctly generalize to unseen examples. See how beautiful is this point. The confidence we can have in studying 10 students data, I'm not having much confidence, right? To generalize to the Indian students population. But when I study about 1 million students data, I have confidence of generalizing about other students' behavior. I have confidence of prediction, making predictions about other students' behavior. Got it? So the confidence we can have at a hypothesis, that a hypothesis is consistent with the training data, this will correctly generalize to unseen examples, so that it will generalize to unseen examples. So it will also make predictions about unseen examples. We have trained a machine on 1 million data points and we are giving it a new data point. The machine will predict approximately well with that particular new data point because it has learned from 1 million data points and it is making that predictions with confidence, with some confidence, with given amount of confidence. Why? Because it is sure about its predictions or almost sure about its predictions because it has learned from large number of training examples. Now we are able to relate all these concepts, the size of the hypothesis space to be searched and the number of training examples available for the machine and the confidence of it to generalize to the new data points. All these have some relationship. Okay, so larger are the training examples, more better is the prediction accuracy. Correct? Now let us go to what issues are encountered in machine learning. Now, in your previous classes, you have learned the fundamentals of machine learning, but some questions might have arisen in your mind about those issues. About the issues that may be encountered while making a machine learn. Okay, so let us see what types of issues or questions that may arise in anybody's mind, with respect to this machine learning. The first one is, what algorithms exist for learning general target functions from specific training examples? I'll underline this word, general and specific. What do we mean by that? You're selecting a target function which would generalize well, but you're learning it from specific training examples. Now, when I am studying about 1 million Indian students population, am I studying about all the student population in India? No, I'm taking a sample, but I'm taking a sample large enough. Understand that? Okay, when I'm studying about the student population in India, or when a machine is studying about student population in India, it is not taking entire student population in India. It is taking a large enough sample so that it is representative of the student population in India. See, when I want to talk to the entire class in this kind of situation, I can't communicate with each and everyone, right? Say if I want to convey some important message to the class, I select a representative from your class, right? Who will convey that to your entire class. In the same way, when I'm trying to study about the Indian student population, I'm picking a representative sample. I'm picking a specific sample. I'm picking a specific training examples. Got it? Why I wrote specific training example here? What algorithms exist for learning general target function from specific training examples? I'm trying to learn a general target function. One line I'm trying to learn which will explain the entire Indian student population behavior. Got it? So I studied 1 million students in India, and I made a general description that I made a general hypothesis that Indian students are very dedicated and innovative. I made a hypothesis. I made a statement like this. How did I make a statement like that? By learning from 1 million student data. Got it? So that is my target function. I am generalizing my target function so that if one more student data comes and almost all those parameters are as related to Indian student data, then I can say that student also would be innovative and dedicated. Got it? What I'm trying to tell? I'm trying to generalize the target function. I'm trying to generalize my hypothesis. Okay, now read this line again. What algorithms exist for learning general target functions from specific training examples? What kinds of algorithms are available? Lots and lots of machine learning algorithms are available. Now, which one to apply at what stage? Which one to apply for which particular data set? Which one to apply in which scenario? That expertise you will earn, you will gain that experience as you go on learning these fundamental topics in our machine learning course, as well as some extra focus and hard work is required from the student side also, because you need to explore many and many areas where you can understand in what different scenarios you can apply which different algorithms, right? So you're trying to find what algorithms exist for learning general target functions, and in what settings will particular algorithms converge to the desired function given sufficient training data. Okay, sufficient training data is available. Now, what are the settings in which the algorithms converge? You know now what is convergence, right? No longer the machine can perform better than that. That is the point of convergence, where your weights given to the parameters can no longer change. That is your final point. That is your best fit to the historic data. Okay. Now, in what settings will that algorithm converge? For this training data, it can converge very faster. But if for larger training data set, it can converge little slower because it is trying to learn more better. Okay, that is the other issue. You have to understand in which settings the algorithms can converge and which algorithms perform best for which types of problems and representations. Based on the problem, based on what type of representation is required, you need to find out which algorithm is best suitable. In our checkers problem, we have selected that LMS algorithm is best suitable. Now, trying to predict whether a customer is reliable or not, in that case, we will take classification algorithm as best suitable, or K nearest neighbor algorithm under classification as best suitable. Correct? This is how we need to assume which algorithm would be suitable for which type of problem. That is a very big issue actually, because you have to make some proper assumptions in order to proceed in a right direction. And then when and how can prior knowledge held by the learner guide the process of generalizing from examples. Now, by learning from the existing examples, how better it can generalize to the new examples, and what prior knowledge did the learner have, what prior knowledge it is provided with. Any domain specific knowledge you have to provide to the learner, that also you have to check. And how much training data is sufficient, whether this is asked by many students in online discussion platforms with respect to data science and machine learnings. They keep asking this, how much training data is sufficient? How do you decide how much training data is sufficient? Can anybody have an idea? The training data, how do you decide how much training data is sufficient is, it is not a hardcore rule. It varies from experiment to experiment, right? Now, when I'm trying to learn about MCA students' data, MCA students' behavior, my training set, if I take some 500 students' data across India, it would be sufficient, because not more than 10 students in India are studying MCA. Let us consider. Okay. Now, when I take engineering students' data, if I want to predict the engineering students' behavior, now there are some 50,000 students' data across India. In that case, I may have to select some 10,000 students' data. Means based on the larger population available, based on the larger population, the larger set you are considering, you have to normally take, they say 30% of the sample. That would be the training, that would be a representative training sample. Okay, they normally say it as 30 to 40% training data would be sufficient. So it is given as a percentage, right? And when and how you will eventually get this experience as you go and on working with the data sets. You will understand which how much training data set size will be a good one for your machine learning model development. And next point is, what is the best strategy for choosing a useful next training experience, and how does the choice of this strategy alter the complexity of the learning problem? Now, what should be the next useful training experience you're providing to the machine in order to make it make more better predictions? Okay, that also matters. Now, what is the best way to reduce the learning task to one or more function approximation problems? And can this process itself be automated? Is it possible? What I'm trying to tell here is, what is the best way in reducing the learning task? Now, if I say make a machine learn how to play checkers, lots of steps are involved. Can you teach every probable step to the machine? It's not possible. You have to find out a general representation, an ideal target function, which will help the machine take decisions at each and every legal board state. Got it? So you're trying to reduce the learning task into one or more function approximation problems. What is your function approximated in checkers learning game? V hat of B equal to W naught plus W1 X1 through W6 X6. That is your function that you have approximated. And you are trying to adjust the weights each time to arrive at a ideal target function, which is the best fit for your data, which helps the checkers game take a best next move, right? So what is the best way to reduce your large learning task into generalized terms? Can this process itself be automated? Already we have seen that example, right? The checkers game or the chess game learns by playing against itself and tries to optimize the target function. Correct? Means we have automated the process of learning the task. Got it? Now, how can the learner automatically alter its representation to improve its ability to represent and learn the target function? That is what I explained right now. How can the learner automatically alter its representation? By adjusting the weights in order to learn the ideal target function. All these are issues that you come across when you are making a machine learn about something. So you have to meet all these issues. You have to address all these issues in order to develop a good machine learning model that can generalize well, that can make better predictions about the unseen data, about the new data that it has not seen so far. Training data is the data that it has seen. New data about which it is making predictions is the data that it has not seen, but still it has to make good predictions there. Right? That is the objective of any machine learning task, to make good predictions. Got it? Now let us move on to the next concept learning and general to specific ordering. Okay, now how we can understand, how we can make a machine learn about a concept. What is concept here? Students, can you explain? What is a concept here? In checkers playing game, what is the concept? To learn how to play checkers game. In predicting whether a customer will be a defaulter or a good payer of the loan, what is the concept there? Learning to predict whether he is a reliable customer or not. Learning to predict whether a match of cricket will be played on that day given the climatic conditions. Learning to predict the weather based on the historic data. All these are concepts. The machine is learning a concept in order to perform some task. Now all you students are learning machine learning concept, right? Based on the training experience I give you, and you are using that training experience in order to develop some machine learning programs, machine learning applications. That is your outcome. That is your task you are performing. Got it? So concept is learning about some task, to perform some task. Okay. Now what is this general to specific ordering? Initially, we start with general assumptions. We start with lots of hypotheses. Our hypotheses are more general in that case, and slowly we try to arrive at a specific hypothesis, right? I'll explain this better with a simple example. See, whenever a person is asked to choose his life partner, whether boy or a girl, how does he start? Say a newspaper is making survey about understanding what are the youth choices about their life partners, right? So what is the assumption they have initially? all will say all will have a general hypothesis that my life partner should be good. Okay, so the general thing what they want is life partner should be good. But what are the specific requirements they have? When they say good, having good sense of humor is good, or being very sentimental is good, or being very responsible is good. What is that general hypothesis mentioned by them? They want a good life partner mean. So they have some parameters: having good sense of humor x1, having responsibility x2, cleanliness x3, disciplined x4. Now they want more, they can adjust with cleanliness, responsibility and all, but they want a person having good sense of humor. So the weight assigned to that particular parameter is more. Now they want a very responsible person. So weight assigned for that particular parameter should be more. Means when you take a specific person, his specifications about a life partner will vary. It will become more specific. Got it? Now, this newspaper making a survey of the youth's preferences about their life partner, they are taking all these specific preferences and they're trying to generalize that youth in India always want more responsible life partners or more sense of humor life partners. How they're generalizing? By learning from the specific preferences. Got it? Means from the ordering is going, a general hypothesis is made by understanding the underlying specific hypothesis. Got it? So the newspaper is able to generalize by learning from specific examples, by making a survey with each and individual person. But nowadays there are some eccentric cases also. Recently some message has been forwarded in WhatsApp. Did you see? One lady divorced her husband because he's very perfect. He's very perfect in all these aspects, x1, x2, x3 and x4. But still she doesn't want him because he's very perfect. She's not getting a chance to argue with him anytime. He accepts for everything. Okay, that are some outliers. That kind of data point should be treated as outliers. We can't include such kind of eccentric data points, right? So when a machine is learning about a concept, it has to start from learning from training examples, and it should be able to generalize well for a larger population. That is what I'm trying to explain. Okay, we have another 10 minutes. Yeah. Concept. Now let us understand about this concept learning in more simpler terms. Now this concept learning is nothing but from specific training examples. It is trying to learn general functions. If this is a survey about human population and making some statement, it is a general statement. But when I am trying to make a machine predict something or forecast something or classify something, I have to mathematically represent it. I can't give it general statements, right? So I am changing my name here from general statement to general function. It has to learn a general function by going through the specific training examples. Got it? Now the problem of searching through a predefined space of potential hypothesis for the hypothesis that best fits the training examples. Means your predefined space of hypothesis, H, capital H, will have several hypotheses, H1, H2, H3. All these will explain about the historic data better. But which is the best explanation? That is important to you, because you have to generalize well to the larger population, to the new data points. You have to make correct predictions with the new data points. So how is this hypothesis space searched to find the best solution. You have lots of solutions. Say you want to go for a trip in your weekend. You have some 10 options. Those are your hypotheses. You're choosing the best feasible option according to your money you have in the pocket. That is your best fit hypothesis. That is your final hypothesis, right? This is how you need to understand. A hypothesis space has all solutions, but your objective is to find the best solution. Your hypothesis space has large set of hypotheses. Your objective is to find the best hypothesis that best suits suits the behavior of historic data and generalizes well to the new data, predicts well with the new data. Got it? Now it can be efficiently organized by a general to specific ordering of the hypothesis. Okay, you take all general hypotheses in the beginning. From that you select a specific hypothesis which could generalize well to the larger population. Do not get confused between this generic specific terms. You start from a general description. Have you started about selecting a life partner? General description is it should be very good. Life partner should be very good. But what are the specific descriptions? They have certain specifications. He should be this, he should be that. Now, learning from such specific examples, you're trying to generalize that the Indian youth prefers highly responsible life partner. Got it? That is the difference. Now, inductive learning that may successfully generalize beyond the observed training data is being followed for this concept learning. Inductive learning means what? You're trying to learn from the previous observations. You're trying to learn from the previous data. You're trying to induce some explanation from them. You're trying to derive some explanation from them. And you're trying to generalize it to the next upcoming data. Right? This is called as inductive learning. Say your opinion about women literacy in India. How do you gain that opinion? Only by studying about the various scenarios. Literacy rate in Kerala is more. Literacy rate in Andhra Pradesh is the worst. Literacy rate in Goa is moderate. Like this, you study various states' data and you try to induce, you try to gain some, you try to infer some knowledge and you make a statement about literacy of girls in India. Right? Means you're performing an inductive learning here. You're trying to observe the previous data and you're trying to derive some inference. You're trying to derive some conclusions from the previous data. This is called as inductive learning, and machine also does the same. Inductive learning, which may successfully generalize beyond the observed training data, which can generalize well to the new data, right? That is called as inductive learning. Now, I think time will not permit us to go forward. In next class, we'll go through the introduction to concept learning by taking a simple example of whether a boy will play water game given the weather conditions or given the climatic conditions. How a machine learns the concept in that particular scenario. That we'll try to learn in next class. Okay. Let me see if any quiz questions cover this. No. Okay, now let me ask some general questions. Say I want to develop a machine learning model in order to tell whether a patient has made a genuine insurance claim or not. What would be the possible training you provide to that machine learning model? I'm repeating my question again. If you are given if you are given a task to design a machine learning application in order to find out whether a patient has made a genuine insurance claim or not. Because sometimes they make some fraudulent insurance claims in order to get the money, though they haven't been admitted into the hospital. They will falsely claim the insurance, right? In that case, what kind of training experience do you provide to the machine in order to make that machine predict whether a insurance claim is fraudulent or not? Can any student tell me? Students? What kind of attributes can be there in order to study about a particular insurance claim, whether it is fraudulently claimed or it is a genuine claim? Sarfaraz?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what attributes can be given here? What attributes can be
Ma'am,
captured?
attributes we can give, I think, first of all, we can check that what is the cause of that accident, I
Okay,
think.
good. Very good, very
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Yes. Cause of the
And
accident?
the second thing, yes, ma'am. Second thing, we can check that how many damage does happen there.
How much damage has happened? Yes.
Yes,
To the
ma'am.
person as well as property, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then
And thirdly, I think we can check about the cost of the damage. How much
cost
is
of
the
the
cost?
damage. Very good. Yes.
Yes.
Then
And after that we can check how we can overcome with that damage. So what is the cost of that overcome? Means we have to
okay,
overcome
to
from the
mitigate,
danger also.
right? To
So what is
reduce
the
the
cost?
damage. Okay. So,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
what
Yes, ma'am.
kind for how much amount he has insured?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Correct? Okay, these can be the attributes. Okay, so you try to provide the machine this kind of previous historic data and see whether that person has fraudulently claimed or not. Even the labels will be provided to the machine. Now, the machine will learn from all this historic data. In this and this scenario, it is a fraudulent insurance claim. In this and this scenario, it is a genuine insurance claim. But remember, in most of the cases, all the claims will be genuine only. In rare cases, there will be fraudulent claims. But that will be a loss for the company if they couldn't detect that fraudulent claim. That is why you have to train the machine properly in such a way that it can predict whether that particular claim is a fraudulent or a genuine claim. Okay, so more number of training examples if you provide, it can certainly learn more better to predict about that particular transaction. Got it? Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. I hope everything is clear in today's class. I'm going very slowly and
Yes,
giving
ma'am.
more and
Clear.
more examples to you. So little
Yes, ma'am.
effort from your side is also required. I can peel off the banana, put it into your mouth, but I can't push it down through with a rod and make it digest for you. Okay, some effort have to be put from your side also in order to understand the concepts. I will try to make it as clear as possible, and little focus and concentration is required from your side. Okay, keeping this in mind, we'll meet in the next class. See you in the next class. Bye.